What's up, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of DannieBSpeaks, the podcast. This week, I just want to catch up. I didn't do a show last week and barely got one out this week, and this may not actually, it may be 2 weeks in between shows by the time this gets edited and everything, but I wanted to keep it flowing. Look, I'm not gonna lie, work wears me out, my nieces and nephew wear me out, life wears me out. I'm old, what can I say? Let's just keep it real. But I definitely wanted to bring you all something this week. It's going to be a little lighthearted this week, which I try to make most of my shows lighthearted now. I know when I first started, I was doing a lot of stuff on y'all's former president. I tried to make it comical, which it really wasn't funny because these were things that were happening in our country, in our world. I really just want to make the show more informational now, more lighthearted. I feel like I have grown and matured, not only as a woman, but as a content creator in the things that I want to put out. And I want to put out things that interest me. Yeah, there will be some celebrity talk every now and then. I think I mentioned a while ago on the show that I really don't want to talk about celebrities that much because they kind of bother me. Not all. Don't get me wrong, not all. It's just something that I'm not really into anymore. I'm not really into a lot of the news, a lot of the gossip. The things that I am into, I will mainly be talking about on Girl You Know What podcast. So let's get into this week's episode. The first thing that I really want to talk about, you saw the title, we're going to be discussing a new obsession of mine. Actually, 3 new obsessions of mine, which I would say probably within the last year have become obsessions of mine, and I'm going to talk about them in this episode. So the first one is van life. And I'll get into what van life is a little bit, but I'll talk about how I got into it and how I became familiar with it and everything. Now, sadly, when I first heard about van life, it was from the Gabby Petito case. You remember the young lady who was murdered by her, I was about to say something very horrible because he passed away too, but he killed her, but remember when the young lady was killed by her boyfriend and left, he discarded her body like a piece of trash and went on the run, and his parents were trash and everything. So that was the first time that I heard about van life. I didn't know anything about it. I kind of knew that there were people who were taking on this life and everything, but I didn't realize how big it was until this case and more people were talking about it. So I started following some van lifers on YouTube, which people know I'm obsessed with YouTube. Like, I seriously will have YouTube on all day and just find anything to watch on YouTube. But I really got into it, and there are quite a few that I watch on a consistent basis. There are a few that I'm subscribed to. Other ones I just go to their channel every now and then. I'm like really obsessed with it. It is just something that is so entertaining to me, and it's a lot. It's a lot that goes into it. It's something that's so minimal, it seems like, but there's a lot that goes into it. This is what my life has turned into. I'll turn on these videos and I put them on to relax to have background noise while I'm working. I just thoroughly enjoy it. So let's get into what van life is. Now, I am really amazed and a little envious, I must say. I would love to do something like this, but then I know me. After a while, I would be totally over it. I will talk about my deal breakers later on in the show. Well, at least when it comes to this topic, I will talk about what I feel like my deal breakers are when it comes to this, because I know I would get over it real quick. I know by now that a majority of you have heard about this, regardless if it was like how I found out about it from that terrible case that I mentioned a little while ago, or just coming across something, or you may even know someone who has taken on this lifestyle. And it is just that. It's van life. These are people, so basically it's a group of people who live out of their vehicles. I would say about 85% of them, they actually travel, wherever their mode of transportation will take them. Most of them are travelers. Like, they have given up their current lifestyle, their jobs, for various reasons. They have gone on to purchase these vehicles and they have transformed them, which they call conversions, of course, and we'll get into those in a second. But majority of them do travel. Van life is just the general term. There aren't only van conversions. They're not only traveling out of quote unquote vans. And we will discuss what the conversions entail in just a second. Now, there are various types of vans, all sizes. I mean, I've seen Astro vans. I've seen, what are those big family vans that we used to have back in the day? I can't think of what they're called, Econoline vans or whatever, something like on that order. We all knew someone who had one, and when we were going somewhere, we would all pile in. Their parents would take us somewhere, and we would all pile in the van. The most common that I have seen in the conversions are Sprinter vans. I believe those are the most common, the most ones that I've seen that the community uses. But they have also converted and are living out of SUVs, trailers that they attach to their van or truck, and they just drive around and live out of the trailer in the back. There are mini campers, RVs, mini RVs. I've even seen box trucks, like moving trucks, like an old FedEx truck or an old U-Haul truck, something like that, something on that order. I've seen buses and RVs. Yes, even school buses. Yeah, I'm not just talking about like travel buses, city buses. I'm talking about even school buses. And you will see like a lot of families, because there are families that are living this lifestyle. And I'll get into that in a second, my opinion on that. I will definitely opine on that because I do have some things to say about the families, but it's just my opinion. I've also seen discarded military vehicles. I mean, pretty much anything with enough space that you feel that you can survive in, that you can afford, that you can get fixed up. It is being used for this life. Let's just put it like that. Now let's talk about the actual conversion. I have been so amazed, I'm telling you, with the way that these vehicles have been transformed into homes. It is crazy. I mean, you can picture like an RV, because, when people take out campers and RVs, things like that, of course, they're more apt for living, like people live in RVs, mobile homes. People live in those. So yeah, but it is crazy that, they have converted these vans and box trucks and buses and SUVs as much as they can. They have operating kitchens, bathrooms, a dedicated sleeping area. Some even have like a game set up, like where they have their gamers, where they just have something that a certain area where they watch TV and game or just whatever. They pretty much have everything that they need, like right there, and so much more. And the decor, the designs of some of these conversions, they truly make you feel that you are walking into a modern studio apartment. And the bigger ones like buses and the RVs, they have it designed to look like an actual house with different rooms and everything like that. It's crazy. It's just like my brain just gets so wrapped up in this stuff. It is crazy. I'm just like, seriously, girl, who have you become? But I'm here for it. It is who I am. Now, the ones without bathrooms. There are some that travel around. And of course, like if you're in a SUV, it's kind of hard to put a bathroom in there. Let's just keep it real. I expect that. But I couldn't do it. There are some people who have designed their vans that they can have a bathroom, but they have put something else there, like more storage space, which is understandable. It's understandable. But I couldn't do it. I would have to have my own bathroom. I'm sorry. Now, I understand every once in a while, even people who have bathrooms in their conversions, they will go to like a Planet Fitness and shower. And if you have a Planet Fitness membership, you have the one where you can go to anyone around the country. That's the one I used to have before the job I'm at now has a gym, so I don't have to pay for a gym anymore. I'm here for that. So they'll go to like a Planet Fitness and shower. That's a very common one. They'll work out and they'll shower there. There are actually some that go to very nice rest stops that have showers you can use. The ones that I've seen are very clean. They're like dedicated for people coming in and out. So they're probably in there cleaning those all the time. And it's mainly, truck stops, rest stops, things like that. Now, I can see using those every once in a while because, yeah, showering does take a lot of water, especially from a smaller tank where you would need that water for other things as well, like cooking and washing things. I get it. So if you can find somewhere that's clean, comfortable, that you feel comfortable in to take a shower, yeah, I would probably do that too every now and then. The ones that don't have bathrooms, I couldn't do it. Now, for actually using the bathroom, and actually using using the bathroom, the restroom. Some of them, now, they will use compost toilets, which are basically like mini porta potties. Some of them do look like actual toilets, and then you have other ones that look like actual buckets. And I'm just like, but I guess you got to do what you got to do. But I don't know if I could survive. I really don't. It's just, I don't know if I could do that. I just would not feel comfortable, even if I'm the only one in there. To have to change out your own stuff, I don't think I could do that. They do have things that can cover, what you've done in your compost toilet, even dissolve anything that goes into these toilets until you are able to get rid of the waste. But I'm still not impressed. I would pay the extra money in my conversion to have a fully functioning toilet with some type of line to be able to dissolve the waste into the gray water tank until I was able to drain it. That's just me. I couldn't do it. Call me what you want to, but I couldn't do it now. I've seen people trek out in the snow to a cold toilet. What if you got to go like in the middle of the night? I've seen them do that, I don't know. Even if they're in like a warmer climate, bug infested bathrooms, like out at the park they're staying at or wherever. And a lot of them don't wash up every day. And I guess it's you. Most of them do travel by themselves, and we'll get into that in a second. I would have to have a bathroom. That would be a huge deal breaker for me. So now I do like watching how people with smaller vehicles, how they utilize their space. Even some of the bigger ones, they'll combine areas within their space, within their conversion. Like for instance, the sleeping area may function as also the kitchen table and the office space. Like, their table would use it as a desk as well, which is pretty common. If you don't have a desk in your home, a lot of people do use. I remember back in the day, when I had my little apartment and, I was still going to school. I don't even think I had a home computer at the time. If I did, did I even have a home computer? I can't remember. But anyway, I basically did all my studying and everything and my writing, because I always wrote, it was just something that I always did in my spare time. But I would always do all my studying and everything at the kitchen table. That was just the thing. I would pour a pot of coffee and possibly have some popcorn or something and just get to reading and studying so I can get the shit done. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. So that's common to use that. But that area, like I said, it's the sleeping area, but their table and office space, whatever you want to call it, it would then convert into a bed. And then some, it may be in the same area, like of their conversion, and they'll have like a lift or something that'll bring down a bed in that space. So you just move the table and everything, and then they got like a little lift or, something that brings down the bed, and it's like a full-size bed. It's cool. It's pretty cool. Another common part, which isn't really too uncommon because it does make sense in a smaller space, but they'll have like a sofa area where they'll sit down and eat or just sit down and watch TV, mainly like on a laptop, or some of them do actually have like little TVs, but they'll remove the pillows from the back of the sofa and they'll sleep there. It gives them a little bit more space, of course. I've seen a lot of people do that as well. The way they utilize their storage is great because I have way too many clothes and shoes. I just have a lot of shit. So it would be hard for me to live a minimalistic lifestyle, which they definitely live. And you'll see quite a few of them. They will have storage units located in their base state where they have residency, and they'll store a lot of their things there, and that they don't need right away, and they'll come back and get it, in exchange. Like if they're going from a cold climate or if the seasons change, and they're going into a warmer climate, then they'll keep stuff there. Or just various things, like they may have extra kitchen equipment, just different things. But I'm the type of person, I like my stuff with me. I don't know what it is, but I just like to have all my stuff with me. I don't know. But I will say that the older I have got, or the older I have become, y'all know I mess up my words sometimes, but I am better at just giving things away or just throwing the shit out. So I have become better at that. I don't know if I could live a minimalistic lifestyle, but it's cute. It's cute for them. So it works out. But that would be another difficulty of mine, would be to, live that minimalistic lifestyle and, just be only to live with a certain amount of clothing and shoes and, things like that, because I like to have options. That's just me. But I love how they utilize their storage, because I'm big on storage, because my office, I have to have, I don't know if it's an OCD thing or whatever. I don't like diagnosing myself. I don't think I have it, but it's something where I like to have bins and containers so I know where things are. I've just become like that, over the past past couple years. Like, I mean, I will go to Target or At Home or where's my other spot? Home Goods. And I will just go straight to the storage bin area and go ham. Bathroom, kitchen, especially my home office, utility closet, linen closet, everything has to have its own space. And I don't care how anybody feels about it. That's just me. So anyway, let me see I mentioned earlier about the office space and desk area, the gaming setups. Now, most of the people that I'm watching, all of them, obviously, duh. But there are some that aren't actually vloggers. And, those are, of course, people on YouTube that share their content on not only YouTube, but other social media platforms. If you're constantly on the road, it is kind of hard to you can go find libraries and a Barnes and Noble, somewhere where you can get Wi-Fi access, internet access, whatever, because not only do they have to upload their content and do what they have to do, but there are also people who still work like regular jobs, like office jobs. There are people who are instructors. So they always have to be on. They always have to find a good place to be able to do their work. But how do you do that when most of them are on the road? Of course, they have figured it out. There is a way to have power while traveling. And even they have these internet modems. I can't think of what it's called. And they're through different companies or whatever. I think one may even be through T-Mobile, because I heard that was like a popular one that a lot of people good Lord, a lot of people use. And of course, it's just like a hotspot because you're on the go or whatever, but it's a specific one that is basically been created and dedicated to people who travel, and especially mainly in remote areas, which is crazy to me because they have all those available for people who travel, but Spectrum's ass gives me the blues for as much as I pay them every month for service. But anyway, let's move on because that will take on another discussion but let's proceed. So, not only just internet access for working, when the vloggers, if they don't have a regular 9 to 5, they're making money from their YouTube channels. So yeah, they need internet access for that. But like I mentioned earlier, there are people who actually game and like they have gaming channels as well. They're on what's that platform called Twitch, where it's mainly like a social media gaming platform. So they do content on there. So of course they need access for that. Many of them, they're always talking about they're watching Netflix or Hulu, YouTube. So they need internet access. But it's crazy that they have this specific modem for these people, but we're still struggling, those of us who are idle at home, not traveling, but whatever. Let's move on. So why have so many people decided to take up this lifestyle? That's what really got me because, I talk about it all the time. Like I like to get into the psychology and trying to figure out why people do things that they do and why they feel the certain way that they feel about things. I just like doing that. I don't know. It's just something that I really get into. And I was thinking about what made people take up this lifestyle. And not that it's nothing that hasn't been done before. And people travel all the time and you have people who are just like that. They're adventurers and that's how they live. That's what they do. That's just what they are. Even if they don't make money, they may go to another town and work a little temporary job or something, or work on somebody's farm, for enough money to survive just to get them to the next place. There are, so this isn't nothing new. But I truly think that the pandemic has made a lot of us reevaluate many things in our life. I believe most of us have learned to appreciate what we have. Also realize that things can be taken away from us in a split second, regardless if you had things taken away from you or not. Like people lost jobs, they lost homes, they lost cars. We all know what happened during that time. And there are still people who are trying to bounce back from that time period. But one thing that amazes me are the people who have joined the van life community and have made it their lifestyle. Believe it or not, and this is what really tripped me out, the people who mainly are in this lifestyle are usually over 30 years old. So when you think about it, people who are 30 years old, have graduated college. If you didn't go to college, you've been working for quite a few years by now. You kind of have been acclimated to a certain lifestyle, and especially finding out that the average age range of van lifers is actually between 32 years old and 55 years old. Now that's a huge age range. And of course there are people in their 20s, and I've even seen people in their 70s out here van lifing it. You know what I'm saying? So it's open to anybody, of course. If you feel that you can do this, age is no limit, just like how I feel so many things in life should be. There should be no age limit. If you feel that you can do it, do it. And yes, I mean, there are those who don't travel. They just want to live in a more confined space. And we'll get into that a little bit later, another one of my obsessions. It's just so many different people. I mean, you have people of so many different communities, you have different races, you have different genders. I mean, it is in obviously different age ranges because of the huge age range that is the majority of people who are in this lifestyle. And their stories are just so amazing. It's just like, wow, because it could be someone who you used to work with. It could be someone who you went to school with. It could be the person that you went to church with. Just anyone. Anyone can take up this lifestyle. Their stories range from they decided to do this because they retired. They hit retirement and they wanted to do something else. They wanted to do something more adventurous. They wanted to travel. So this was a more economical way for them to do it. They went through a divorce and, they raised their children and they have been divorced from their spouse and they just wanted to do something else. You have empty nesters. You have people who were laid off or fired from their jobs, or they just quit and decided to convert a vehicle and live out of it and travel. I mean, just think about it. The freedom that must give. I haven't come across anyone who hasn't, like, quote unquote, led a normal life before. And what I mean by that is everyone either has or had a family. And what I mean had is like the divorce thing, like their children are grown out of the house. They're doing their thing. They're not married anymore. So they just wanted to do this. Someone who retired. So you've worked, most likely if you had children, if you're at retirement age, the normal retirement age, the average retirement age, I should say, your children are grown and doing their thing. And the thing that gets me is the freedom. A lot of people want this type of freedom, but it is hard to obtain. And these people are living by their own rules as much as they can, because there's always going to be something that is going to be in the way, some kind of roadblock or something for all of us. Because I feel like I'm pretty free and I live a free lifestyle. And I am who I am. I do what I want, and it's just who I am. I've always pretty much been like that. I would love not to have to report to a 9 to 5. I truly can't. That's just me. I can't. I couldn't do it. If I could, I would, if I had the guts to do it. Let's put it like that. There was one person, it's this guy that I came across who does he's a van lifer. He calls himself a mobile personal trainer. He's based in Canada. Basically what he does is he goes from city to city. He trains people. He's a personal trainer. Instead of flying to the next city for his appointments, he van lifes it. So in between appointments, he just travels or he'll spend time in the new city looking around and finding other places to stealth camp and all that stuff. And it's pretty cool. He said he does have like an apartment that he shares with his girlfriend, and she'll come on the road sometimes, but she works, a regular job, so she's not able to come all the time, of course. And he mainly lives out of his Sprinter van. And of course, it's a Mercedes, and I'm here for it, but I just think that's pretty cool. If you had a job where you had to travel and you could do it this way, like he can, he seems like to have a little bit more freedom. He can probably pick and choose what cities he wants to go to, and he's obviously pretty successful. He has a successful YouTube channel too, so that doesn't hurt, when you have that extra money coming in from YouTube. But I think that's pretty cool too. So he's able to, because he said he used to just fly from city to city, or if it was a closer city, he would just drive his car to it, do it that way. But he said since he came into the van life, he just does that. And so he just feels like he's traveling in his home, which he is. His part-time home. So now let's talk about the families with children. And there are many, and actually majority of them, that are solo travelers. That's what I mainly have come across. It's just they're just doing this by themselves. There are couples who do it and have been doing this for quite a few years. There are some who are fairly new to it. They may have been together for quite a few years or a few years, whatever, and they decided to start doing van life. But there are families out here with children that live this way. And I have my thoughts about the children living this life. I'm on the fence about it because I can see how it is a great experience for them. The traveling, learning how to appreciate the things around them, being more family oriented because you're just with your family all the time. Okay, I get that. I think that's cool. And, I think about like, what about their education? What about school? And of course, they're homeschooled. And I know homeschooling is more common now than it was when we were growing up. So that shouldn't be a huge issue. The homeschooling, okay. But what about interacting with other children outside of their family? Even homeschooled children still have their neighborhood friends. They could possibly be around other family members like cousins. They'll play sports and do other activities within their communities. So they have that interaction with children outside of their family. They can't do that while constantly on the road. And this is just my opinion, but I believe children need some sense of stability. They need a sense of normalcy. And children, especially teenagers, regardless if parents don't want to think about this, but they need their space as well. Just think about when you were a kid, even if you weren't allowed to have a lot of space or you just didn't have a lot of space, you wanted it. I mean, just think about just living in such a confined area. And I'm not talking about like a small house or, an apartment. Now, most of them with families, they do live in like the RVs. I mean, I've even seen double-decker buses. Now, I think that's pretty cool. I've seen a couple like where the bedroom areas are upstairs. And if they have more than one kid, then, they divide it off. So, I mean, I guess they can have their privacy, but all of them aren't like that. And I've been seeing quite a few pop up with children. And I mean, I don't know. To me, it still doesn't give much privacy. I know, like, especially as a teenager, I loved my privacy. Now, I mean, I wasn't that private, I didn't really have a lot going on, but I still liked my privacy. I was respectful about it, but I liked being able just to go in my room and shut the door and just listen to music and watch movies, just to have that sense of privacy, that sense of just me in my space. I don't know. I'm not going to elaborate on that too much because that could have just been a way that I grew up. I was allowed to have that. Everyone's not allowed to have that, so I don't want to elaborate on that too much. There have been some families that lived normal houses and, their kids went to, public school or, just they went to school with other children. They weren't homeschooled. And then to be brought into this. And I know that there are a lot of parents who want to experience things with their children when they're young and while they're still in the home. And I think that is amazing. I really do because, once you're grown and you have your own family, or you just go out and do your own thing, you're working, or whatever you choose to do with your life, then the parents won't really have that. So I get wanting to do things like that with their children while they're younger, but it also seems to me that there are parents, there are some parents out there, and just like listening to some of their stories, that they can't wait to live out their dreams, that things that they want to do. They take their kids and they'll take their kids along with them. And I've seen this with family vloggers. And these are people who live in normal houses and, they don't live the van life. These are just normal people who live normal lives. And, their parents don't work because they become successful family vloggers and they make money doing YouTube or whatever. And they will pull their kids out of school to go on a trip during the school year just for video content. And everything that their kids do is documented. Growing up, and things on the internet do not leave. And it might be cute right now, but you have to really think about what you're doing to your children and how you're raising them, and is this good for them or is this just something that you want to do? And I understand you got to make your money, you got to do what you got to do. If this is the way that you choose to live your life, that's fine. And when it comes to this, I used to really be into the family vloggers, but I don't really watch them anymore, even though I'll check back in every now and then because a lot of them who are still doing it, their kids have gotten older, and just to see that they're still doing their thing is cute. But when it comes to the van lifers and them having families and living this life, I may be able to watch a video or two, check back on them later if there's a family that I want to see how they're doing or whatever. But I can't really just watch every video that they do because I kind of feel bad for them. Lastly, let's talk about some other downsides, I should say, just what I think. Now, besides the bathroom situation that would need worked out before I would partake in this lifestyle, I have to say this. It seems like there are some of these van lifers that try to do way too much and they go out of their way to be a little extreme for content. And this is a common thing for some people. You hear about people trolling and people, what do they call it? In their video titles, it's baiting or something like that. Clickbaiting, that's what it's called. I knew it would come to me. I knew it was something about baiting. But like a lot of them do a little too much. And majority of them that I see that do a little bit more of the extreme stuff are the ones that are doing the solo missions. Like they're out here by themselves. They seem a little daredevilish. They'll be somewhere like where they get trapped. No, like there was one vlogger who was like somewhere in the middle of, I don't know if it was like in California or Montana or somewhere, but they were like, and I'm talking about like Northern California, like where it snows real bad, but it was somewhere like that area where they, I said Montana, may have been like the Dakotas, or it was somewhere, but it was a beautiful place, but they got caught in an avalanche. And so they had, luckily, they had food, and this was one of the ones that didn't have a bathroom, but I like his content. So I still watch him. I'm subscribed to him. He'll go and do like, I can't think of, like it's called mudding, but he'll do that like in snow. And I think he's even done it, have done that in the mud. And there are people who have died doing that. They get stuck, and with him, there's like no one around. Like he's like seriously in these places by himself. Or if he's at like a site where other people are, he'll go like somewhere way off and he'll go skiing or he'll go ice fishing. And he'll even say like, I don't know if he's just doing this for content, but I remember one time he was like driving his van on a lake that was frozen and he wanted to ice fish. And this guy's kind of young too. He's like in his early 20s. He's very young, and you could tell like he's very risk taker and all that stuff. But it really scared me because he was like, I don't know if this ice is thick enough and I hope it'll hold me up because I plan on sleeping on this tonight. It's just like, I don't know if you're doing this just for content or if you really don't know. And that's what really gets me. It's just weird that you would put your life in danger or pretend that you're putting your life in danger. I mean, okay, it's your content. I get it. You got to get your numbers. You have to survive. But some of it could be a little too much. Also, the stealth camping is something necessary when trying to relax and chill. And stealth camping is basically just like when you had to park somewhere to sleep, or if you just want to chill that day, or you want to chill for a few hours, you had to find somewhere to do that when you're on the road. There are dedicated places around. There are campsites around that people go to. You have to pay for it, of course. There are even some hotels that will give these people they're like, you can sleep in our parking lot, but you have to pay a certain amount of money. You even have, because so many people are doing it like in stealth camping in Walmart parking lots. That seems like a real common place, or grocery stores, places that are like open 24 hours. They'll park there because they feel like they can blend in, but you can't, like 24-hour casinos or whatever, and even hotel parking lots that won't make a deal with you. It's just like, it's a lot. And it would frustrate the hell out of me trying to find somewhere to sleep pretty much every night, and I won't be bothered. I mean, basically every night, they're doing this. And some of them get lucky and they're able to find somewhere where they can stay for a day or two and they won't be bothered. They have apps and, different communities on Facebook and stuff like that. If you're here, this is a good place to go, or things like that. So that's cool. But then you have some places that you just don't know. I don't know. I mean, like if I just wanted a day to relax, catch up on some work, if I'm tired and I just want to chill, that's just what I want to do. Not only trying to find somewhere welcoming and legal to stealth camp, but also safety reasons. I've seen people find somewhere that appears to be cool. They get set up and, it's like later on as the time goes, they've been there chilling. And, I just want to unwind and take my old ass, my old ass needs to get something to eat and go to sleep. That's all I want to do. And they would get a bad vibe, or someone would knock on their door to see if someone's in there. So you don't know if somebody's trying to break in or what. I mean, you just don't know. So they would get up and leave. And some of it would be like maybe still early, like 7, 8 o'clock, after they've been there for a couple hours. Some have even had to leave like in the middle of the night and try to find somewhere else. I don't have that to do. I don't know. So there are a lot of downsides to it, and there are definitely a lot of risk involved, and it's not all sunshine and roses. Majority of the people that I watch do seem to thoroughly enjoy it. And you could tell those that are putting on to save face for, for their YouTube channel, or the ones that are a bit extreme, like I talked about before, who just do a little too much, just to draw content to their channel. You could tell when people are doing them. And I usually don't subscribe to majority of them. I mean, I'm just saying because it's just, you could tell when it's genuine. And you could tell the people who actually enjoy it. Like they thoroughly enjoy doing this, but they will still keep it real about their trials and tribulations, frustrations, and everything else. I like the ones that will show like, I had to leave in the middle of the night, like the security at the rest stop. They said there's no overnight camping here. This is a pick up and go. Go pee, go get something to eat. You may be able to chill for a little bit, but you can't stay here overnight. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of things that they go through, of course, and I think quite a few of them actually don't mind it, but I know it has to be frustrating sometimes, especially the scenario that I gave before where they had to leave like in the middle of the night because either they didn't feel comfortable or because someone knocked on their door and was like, you can't stay here, boo-boo. And then you have those people that I've watched in the past, they quit van life altogether. And I already know that would be me. Like, it would be cute at first, then sis would be totally over it. I'm just saying. And you never know, but I just couldn't see myself doing something like that long term, I should say. And I've seen people who have quit, but they still live in their conversions. And as I mentioned before, I mentioned earlier that there are people who don't all travel, and these are some of them. They either quit van life and they don't travel, or they just wanted to live in something like this. There are people who do that. There are people who have bought certain vans just to live in them. I mean, it's amazing. But I guess, like, hey, listen, times are changing. People are more economical. They're trying to find ways to save and cut. So why not live in one of these? I mean, do what you got to do. Whatever makes you happy, do what you want to do for your life. With your life, I should say. Live your life the way you want to. Enjoy it. All in all, van life is pretty interesting. And there are quite a few interesting characters. I mean, I'm just saying, it's just some of them is just like, wow. But they're interesting. And I'm obsessed. So I love it. I'm here for it. Y'all keep doing your thing. So now let's talk about another obsession of mine, tiny homes. I mean, I never thought that I would be amazed by a little house. Now, when I first heard of tiny homes, I don't really watch much TV, but when I do, usually, unless there's like a good movie on that I may come across, but usually my TV stays on either the ID channel or HGTV. I am a huge HGTV stan. I have been for years, and that is when I first heard about tiny homes while watching HGTV. And I was like, what the hell are these and why would anyone want a tiny home? Because they truly, like, when they first came out and people started talking about them and they were becoming all the rage and everything, and I just thought it was going to be a fad because they were like really tiny. And it was just like, I mean, why would you want to live in that? It didn't even look like you could walk through one. I mean, it was so weird. From the outside looking in, I felt like I wouldn't be able to move in one. And I like my space. I think I mentioned that before. I love my space. But, oh my, have these homes evolved? And yes, I have subscribed to some tiny home channels on YouTube where people share their tiny homes. They go around, these whoever owns the channel, whoever runs the channel, they go around to different tiny homes. I mean, they have communities and they are so cute. It's just like a whole bunch of people. It's just like a regular neighborhood, but they're all tiny homes. And let me tell you, all of them don't really look that tiny anymore. Like some of them, yeah. I mean, they just, but when you go inside of them, it's just like, where did all this space come from? But then when you think about it, there are some quote unquote regular size homes that look small from the outside, but when you go in them, they have, especially like a ranch home. You go in a ranch house and they look so small because it's one floor and it just looks like you either go this way, that way, and that's it. There's a room here, there's a room there. They go back far. The rooms are big. It's just like, looks can be deceiving. And just like van lifers, most of their stories are just as amazing and inspirational. A lot of them have moved into tiny homes for various reasons. Now, I haven't seen many families. I've seen couples. The majority of the people I've seen in tiny homes are single people. And that would be me. I'm just saying. And I mean, there are like, I look at some of these tiny homes and I'm just like, oh, that would be big enough for me. I mean, they're so popular now that you can buy a tiny home at Home Depot and Lowe's. And you can either just buy the frame or you can buy the home as is and get it moved to where you want to. I mean, what is really going on? Now, I told my mom that I'm going to buy a tiny home and put it in her backyard. Mama was not impressed, to say the least, but she would love it. But anyway, it's a lot that has changed with these tiny homes. I love to see how they're decorated, how they utilize the space. Quite a few of them, like they have like, I mean, they'll have like full kitchens, they'll have a bathroom downstairs, and it could just be like a half bath. They'll have the half bath downstairs. They'll have like another room like that some people use like as an office. You have enough room like to have a sofa and a TV in the living room. I mean, it's just like, to me, it's just like living in an apartment. Like the size of it, it's just like, oh, this ain't really that bad. And then you have like the ones that have like, maybe have like an upstairs section. The whole upstairs can be either one or two rooms. The majority of the ones I've seen with the upstairs, like the whole upstairs is like the master bedroom. Some of them even have a bathroom upstairs. Some of them just have the bathroom downstairs. Some of them have a bath and a half, just like how a lot of homes do, a lot of apartments do. It's different. It's a lot different than what I thought. And I'm just really getting into the tiny home community on YouTube. I would say like maybe like around the end of last year, I really started getting into them and watching more stuff and subscribing to the channels because I was just like, oh, this is interesting. I don't know who I become, but yeah, I mean, I really thoroughly enjoy watching stuff like this. And it's just like so amazing to see how they fit all those things and it doesn't look cluttered. It doesn't look junky or nothing like that. Like in any kind of way, it just looks like you would just walk into a quote unquote regular size home. So tiny homes are another thing that I'm really into. Obviously not as much as van life because I talked about van life a lot longer, but that's just because I'm really just getting more into like the tiny home and the tiny home communities. So yeah, we'll see how long this fad for me lasts. Now, I love the outdoors, especially in the fall and early winter. I love going on a hike. I love going out and fishing. There are a lot of things that I actually like to do outside. Spring and summer are okay, as long as it doesn't get too hot, which I know that's hard to get away from. And then you have those damn bugs. I don't do the bugs. I don't, especially with all these new type of bugs just showing up out of nowhere. I mean, I just can't. But my other new obsession has to do a lot with outdoors, and it's actually cabin life. This is another thing that I had just discovered, I would say like towards the end of last year as well. It is amazing to me. This is just like another one because majority of the people who are in the cabin life community have built their own cabins. Like they actually built them themselves. And there are different types of cabins. I did not know that. There's like the traditional that you see. There's the more glamorous ones, which I would have to be at. And I've actually stayed in some before, like at Hocking and Deer Creek, places like that are around Ohio. That's how I do my camping. I don't do the tents. I don't do just the sleeping bags outside. I can't. I can't. I have to have a functioning bathroom. I can't. And that's another thing about these cabins is that there are some that they do have functioning bathrooms in it, but quite a few, especially the tiny cabins, which is another version of cabin life, and even some of the bigger ones don't have bathrooms. So they have built outhouses, and just the word outhouse does not work for me. I could not do that either. But I mean, this is the lifestyle that they've chose, and I'm here for it. I am truly here for it for them. It's cute for them. For me, not so much. There's one cabin lifer, and this is how I mainly found out about all the different types of cabins, because he has like 4 different types of cabins. So listen to this. He has like the family cabin, which it was just him and his wife up until about a month ago, because he and his wife have had their first baby, a baby girl. So it's like their family cabin. And I believe he's building onto it, for if their family grows and expands, which they plan on doing. They have that cabin. It has like a full kitchen, living room area, a sitting room, I guess you could say. And then it has, I believe, like 2 bedrooms, but he's going to be building on. 1 bedroom is the one they sleep in, of course, when they're there. And then the other one is like, right now, it's just like a junk space, like it's just like where the building supplies that he uses and everything like that, he houses them there because he didn't need that space until like now, because they have just added on to their family. So they have that one. Then there's one that's a little smaller than this one. And that's the one I mainly see them at as a family. And I guess that they're not at the main cabin quite a bit. I don't know if that's their main residence or if they have like a quote unquote normal house, and normal's up to why can't I up to interpretation at this point in our lives, because normal, what one person may consider normal, is not normal for the next person, and that is what I'm talking about. I love that. So anyway, so they have like the second cabin is the one that they mainly seem to go to, and this one is it's a little small. It's more like a more of a one room cabin, like what you would expect a cabin to look like, if someone just were to just have a cabin, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just a one room. It has like a bed in it. It has a small kit, like it has like one of those wood burning stoves, I believe. Then it has like the wood burning fireplace. It has that, no bathroom. And I believe that's all that one has, but that seems like the main one that they are at quite a bit. But then they have a tiny cabin they call the A-frame. And it, of course, it just is what it is. It looks like it's shaped like an A. And mind you, like they basically just use like solar panels. They do have electricity. Like I know the main cabin, he's really working on getting like full functioning electricity there, and a generator and everything is there. So I believe that may end up being their full-time residence soon. They have that, but they mainly just use solar panels. They also have like generators. It's just like the van life where they have like the traveling power station or whatever. And of course they have like the more powerful one because they're actually powering a bigger space, bringing power to a bigger space, I should say. So they have the A-frame, and the A-frames are like tiny. I mean, it's like really like you walk in and but you can just turn around and you could probably like stretch your arms. That's how small it is. But still in this space, he has like a bed. It's a twin size bed, but he has a bed in there. He has shelving. He has, I should say they, because, it's he and his wife, but he mainly she has gone to that cabin with him, but he just seems to like, the main ones that I have watched, he's just been there by himself, but she has gone there. But yeah, the A-frame cabin, it's cute. But I would need more space. I mean, it has like the little wood burning stove, the heater that they use to heat up the place. That's another thing. I just sit here and I just look at all these wood burning stoves and things like that they have, because they use them to not only heat the cabins, and especially like the main ones that I watch are like in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So of course, their winters are ridiculous. And there are a lot of trees around them, yes. But it seems like they are constantly cutting down trees for wood. And I'm just like, what are y'all going to do when y'all cut down all the damn trees? Because not only are you cutting down the trees to use to burn the wood, to heat your place and to cook, you're also using that same wood to build your cabins. So I just hope they're planting more trees. That's all I'm going to say. But let's get back to the styles of the cabins. So so they had the A-frame. It's a tiny one. It's cute. And then there's a tiny traveling cabin. I have never seen such a thing. It's basically a little smaller than the A-frame cabin. You hitch it on a little small trailer, and you could even hitch this to a car. That's how small it is. I couldn't do it. But it's a cute concept if this is what you like to do. I guess you could say it's almost like van life in a sense, but they're not living out of this full time. It's just like something that they do. They go to different campsites and they'll use this. Yeah, it's very interesting. The thing about it is a lot of these seem to be like family, like not just their immediate, but in their compound. His dad has a cabin out there. His uncle has a cabin out there. There's still the cabin that his grandfather built, which I think they use like as a main cabin that like a lot of people go to. And, I think they're fixing it up or something like that. I don't know what they're doing with it. I don't know if somebody else is going to move into it. But I think they have like other cousins that live there. Now, mind you, all three of his cabins that are idle, all are on this compound. So it is huge. I mean, it's like acres, and it's in the middle of nowhere. It seems like he has to park and walk. Now there is one cabin he can drive up to, but one of the cabins, I think two of the cabins, if I'm not mistaken, I know the A-frame cabin for sure, like he has to park and walk to it, and it's not a short walk. And his wife was doing that when she was pregnant. I was just like, it is not that serious, but it's cute. It's cute for them. It is what it is. But that is another thing that I have just learned about, and I'm just like, wow, this is like really and it's something so basic, just like people living in cabins and, there are a couple people who live in this who do this cabin life. Two of them are married women. They're not together. They're not married, like they're married separate, like they're married to men, like, whatever. But they're married, and both of them like have built, they don't know each other, I'm sure. Well, I don't know if they do or not. I'm not saying like they're friends and they had the same idea, concept, or whatever. No, just both of them just happen to be married, and their husbands help them build their cabins. It's almost like a she shed, but they, like, it's not in their backyard or nothing. It's like they live in a normal house, but every now and then to get away, they will go to their cabin. And I am like, I know that's right, but I just always am. And anything can happen to anybody, man, woman, it doesn't matter. But I really, truly just like, I don't know if I would want, like, and I can't think like a man, especially a married man, but I don't know if I would want my wife out there by herself. I don't know. That's just me, but it's working out for them. And then these people have YouTube channels. So I'm just like, I hope that there's no crazy people watching and trying to figure out where they're at. Now, granted, they don't give, I know the women, like, I don't even know what state they're in, and that's perfect because unless they've mentioned it in videos I haven't seen, but yeah, it's amazing. It really, truly is just to see these different type of lifestyles that people are living, the happiness and fulfillment that it brings them. That is what it's all about. So if there's anything that you can find in your life that makes you happy, and I know it's easier said than done, it's easier for certain people to do it than others. I get it. Like, take me, for example. I, of course, can do more than my friend that has kids still at home. Or even if they're not at home, like if they have, like, even if their kids are out of the house, you still have someone that you had to look out for, regardless if your kids are grown or not. So, if you're married, like, I mean, I'm not married, so I don't have a spouse. So I don't have anyone else that I need to really focus on and worry about, in a sense, like that type of worry. Like, what are they going to eat tonight? Are they going to be okay by themselves? Things like, I don't have to worry about that. So someone like me would be like the ideal person that you would think would live the van life, possibly tiny home, cabin life. You just see so many different type of people live these different alternative lifestyles. This is an alternative lifestyle, not someone's sexuality, okay? Not someone's gender identity. When people choose to live a different life, when they choose to, that's an alternative lifestyle. That's a lifestyle choice. And these things that I discussed in this episode is what that entails. So all y'all out there doing your thing, just continue to do it. You only get one life. And it's sad that now in my 40s, I am just realizing that. I shouldn't say realizing that we only live one life, but to really thoroughly enjoy and do what the hell you want to do with your life. I thought I was doing that before, but I wasn't. And now I see it. That's all you can do is just go for it. You just had to identify it and go for it. That's really all you can do. So thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Danny B Speaks, the podcast, and listening to my new obsessions that I have. There's quite a bit that I have because I've been exploring and venturing out more on different things that I normally wouldn't have paid attention to. And maybe it is just me getting older. Maybe it is just me opening my mind to other things that I normally wouldn't and taking the time to actually watch and stuff. But I'm happy that I did it because I have truly, and I have gained a different perspective just watching these people who live these different lives and just what they do. It really does open up your mind when you look at people who don't live the way that you do. But anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to check out my other solo podcast, True Crime with Danny B Speaks. I will be having a new episode hopefully next week. I'm finishing some research for that one. So hopefully I'll be able to get it recorded actually this week. So hopefully I'll be able to get it recorded this week. I also have a third podcast, which is a collaboration with my good friend Keisha of Wellness and Women. And that podcast is called Girl, You Know What. So hopefully you all have listened to that one as well. I'm really enjoying that one. The collaboration is, we don't know when we're going to take another hiatus. We've just been recording, and then like if something comes up, then, we'll take a week or two off and then we'll come back with another one. We're trying to be as consistent as we can, but when you're working with two different people, it's a little difficult to be on the same schedule every week. We've learned that, so we're just flowing with it. So we're going to try not to take any long periods of time off unless we just really just need to for something. You can listen to all three podcasts on my website. That is DannieBSpeaks.com. You can also listen on pretty much all the major podcasting platforms such as Apple, Google, Amazon, Audible, Spotify. Also, my YouTube page, which is Danny B Speaks. And also on my YouTube page, you can enjoy nostalgic videos, reviews, other original content such as music mashups, which is just mixing, basically. I just like to call them mashups. I don't know why. All that will be coming, more of that I should say, will be coming to my YouTube page. And again, that is Danny B Speaks. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Danny B Speaks. If you have Apple Music and want to listen to some good old playlists, you can follow me on Apple Music, where I share some of my playlists that I have created myself. And on Apple Music, I am under the name Tahir Ali. If you need to reach out to me for any business inquiries, such as promoting your business, products, anything like that, on my podcast, on my website, or other social media platforms. If you want to discuss collaborating with me or sponsoring me, being a guest on the show, you can reach me at DannieBSpeaks@gmail.com. As always, I appreciate you all. Be sure to continue to support or start supporting the Danny B Speaks brand. Y'all know how much I appreciate that. I truly do. So until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Be safe out there, and I will catch you all on the next one. Peace out, y'all.